2. Hey, what's going on, you guys? Thank you so much for checking it out. If you're here live, we really do appreciate you. If there's not anybody in here yet, that's okay. Hopefully you are checking it out afterwards and helping get the word out. If you enjoy this content that we're doing over here, let some folks know. Help us get the word out. We really appreciate it. I got Caleb with me here on the line, as always.
What is up, man?
Not a lot. Not a lot. We talked a minute before we started recording, trying to come up with stuff that wasn't movie related, and it was tough.
It was a little difficult to be like, oh yeah, let's talk about shit that we normally don't talk about. And I feel like everything now with People Are Terrible is a subject for us. So anytime we're talking and not recording, it's like it could be a podcast.
Yeah. And then also, yeah, like you're super stoked about one of the movie news headlines regarding Batman and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, some beloved characters. And I went and saw ALITA-BATTLE Angel last night. So we're going to talk about that in addition to some other things, including, but not limited to, this trailer for a movie starring Octavia Spencer called Ma. Yeah. Yeah, the trailer for that just now recently came out. We're going to talk about Will Smith as the Genie. We're going to talk about Captain Marvel's retro website. We're going to talk about Greg Nicotero producing a Creepshow television series. And we're going to talk a little bit about the casting for the movie Dune. As always, before we do get into those movie news headlines, we're going to talk a little bit about what we've been watching over the last couple of days to kind of give you guys some suggestions, maybe recommendations, maybe even things to stay away from, just depending on whether we like them or think they suck. Caleb, what's up, man? What you been watching?
The only thing I watched recently that I can think of is it's a 2013 film because I've just been catching up on shit that I want. Only God Forgives, the one starring Ryan Gosling and directed by Nicholas Winding Refn, or however you say his name, the director of Drive.
I see. I'm familiar.
Have you seen that movie before?
I did. I saw it.
I didn't love it, but I didn't hate it. You know, it was one of those films. Visually, it's beautiful. It's a beautiful visual film. There were things I liked about it. I thought Ryan Gosling does a thing that he does very well where he doesn't say a word and still emotes in a weird way.
Absolutely. And that's like his thing.
Yeah, that's turned into what he does. He sits there and stares at people and somehow it's a great performance. I don't know how he does it. Maybe because he's so damn pretty. Maybe that helps. But no, I really liked aspects of it. more I liked it from a filmmaking perspective rather than entertainment as a whole. Like it was one of those things that's just an impeccably made film, but as far as like entertainment and just being fun, it's kind of okay.
Yeah, it's I echo a lot of what you said. It is a visually stunning movie. Nicholas Winding Refn knows how to make a fucking great looking movie. They're really rich with atmosphere, but they're kind of lacking in much more than that. Like Neon Demon is another example of a movie that like it looks amazing. It's great to watch, but there's just not really that much there to glom onto as far as like there's themes in it that it explores, and similar to Only God Forgives, which for those of you guys at home keeping score, Only God Forgives was Nicholas Winding Refn's follow-up to Drive, and it is another movie that stars Ryan Gosling, as Caleb had said a minute ago. It's kind of a revenge story, like Ryan Gosling's mother, played by Melissa Leo, she's like a crime boss, and his brother gets murdered, and then like she wants him to go get revenge for it. Is that like the basic plot?
That's pretty much the basis of it. Like it's pretty much crooked cops versus drug dealers, in a revenge plot. It reminded me of a lot of my favorite like Hong Kong era crime dramas before, Hong Kong went back to mainland, was to me is like the greatest era of crime drama, like that, like 90s to early 2000s. If you want to watch the best crime movies ever, that's when Infernal Affairs came out, which The Departed is based on.
Great movies.
And like that era is perfect. I got some of that vibe in it, which I really appreciated, but nothing is as good as anything of those films.
Yeah, I always like Nicholas Winding Refn's music choices. Like his movies are scored really well too. But yeah, Only God Forgives is fucked up, way more so than Drive is, and then even way more so than that is Neon Demon, which is just so far out and so. It's like it's kind of a spin on the lesbian vampire subgenre from the 70s, but it's also, there's no vampires in it. It's just like, it's about models, aspiring models, and trying to stay young in the industry and all of that kind of shit.
I haven't seen Neon Demon, but after seeing this, I'm even more curious.
Yeah.
I like people who take risk in films, even if sometimes they're not 100% successful. I'd rather watch something that just makes me feel something, and he does that for me, whether it's good or bad. Like Only God Forgives, I was uncomfortable like 90% of that movie. It made me feel uneasy, and that's impressive when he can do that with so little dialogue. He's definitely more, I think he's better though when he doesn't write it, because I believe he wrote that and Neon Demon, but he didn't write Drive.
Okay, that actually checks out.
Yeah, I think he's a more talented director than he is writer, personally.
Yeah, well, that nicely transitions into my topic of Alita: Battle Angel, which I saw last night, which obviously you can't give the writing a whole lot of credit for plus or minus because of the fact that it is based on pre-existing source material, but totally different mediums. The stories, I mean, from what I understand, they're similar, but it's not totally beholden to the source material. This movie was written by James Cameron, directed by Robert Rodriguez, stars Christoph Waltz and Jennifer Connelly and Mahershala Ali, and just a beautiful movie. Beautiful movie. Caleb, is this something you're looking forward to?
This is one of my most anticipated of the year. Like, I've been looking for this since the first trailer, and when everyone was like, it looks bad, I was like, I have no idea what you're talking about. It looks like a cyberpunk grindhouse type of movie, which is exactly what I want out of it. I'm gonna see it for sure this weekend. Like, even if I have to go alone, I'm gonna watch it this weekend.
Do you know the source material?
I've seen the anime, but I've never read the manga.
Okay, yeah, I wasn't familiar with it.
The anime's garbage. To be honest, yeah, it's not any good.
I'm afraid to tell you that neither was the movie, unfortunately. I didn't think so. Okay, so to be fair, I went with 3 other people, my wife and I, and then my friend Holden and his girlfriend Bree, and everybody else enjoyed it. I think Victoria went in there expecting for it to suck. Holden and Bree pretty much like everything. Holden, I love you, but you know it's true. And then I think though also I'm the one who had expectations, because as you and I have talked before, like those are my dudes. Like the Terminator, man, the original Terminator, that shit is so dope. And then like From Dusk Till Dawn and Desperado. So like I wanted to like this movie. I had probably expectations of it. I had high hopes for it. And everything that works about that movie is like up on the screen, but like none of it is in your head or in your heart. It's just very visual. So I would highly recommend seeing it to anybody.
As someone who loves anime a lot, I am also very aware that like the writing in a big chunk of anime is absolute garbage, you know. And so I think from what I got from the trailer, it looked very campy, very grindhouse type of like midnight movie, but with a big budget, which is kind of what I'm expecting out of it. I mean, nothing like the grindhouse films, but you know,
No,
that
I
type of
get what you're
style.
saying, and you can feel Robert Rodriguez's influence in it. I feel like I wish they would have leaned a little further into what you're kind of describing right now. Like, it's not a kind of self-aware camp to it, but you don't want it to be intentionally like that. But to circle back around, I fucking derailed myself a minute ago. You can't blame the source material, or you can't blame the movie for being based on, like, there's certain things that are inherent to this story to make it a translation. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not going to be Alita Battle Angel if these certain fundamental elements aren't picked straight out of the anime or the manga. But they tried to take a pretty expansive manga series and condense it into one movie, and they did that thing where they're setting up multiple movies down the line, and so it felt like rushed and incomplete at the same time, and that's just a tough thing to reconcile.
Well, it reminds me of like I'm one of those people who loves anime but hates anime movies. Anime movies are ass. They're horrible.
Yeah.
Anime TV shows are great because they're usually adapting manga and then they try to condense it either into a movie or into 26, 13, or 5,000 episodes.
Yeah.
So it depends. So I always think it's weird, even with comic book films, it's a very hard balance to strike when you're trying to, I would say even more than comic book films, because manga is one continual story. It's like taking something like Breaking Bad, I don't know, taking a show and going, we're going to cover that entire 10 seasons in one movie.
Yeah.
It doesn't work a lot of times.
Yeah, that's a really, that's valid. And I think that's something that's kind of, we're starting to see how television is a better medium to explore certain kinds of stories, and especially ones that involve a lot of world building. Another thing that I'm sure you can probably understand is like the whole time that I was watching the movie, I'm like, oh, that's so familiar. Oh, fuck, we've seen this a million times. But this is based on source material that came out in like 1990. So really, a lot of the things that we see as familiar and see as tropes can be traced back to a lot of these animes. And then like even Ghost in the Shell, when it comes out, people feel like it's dated, but it actually was the precursor to a lot of that shit that was so influential.
Yeah, especially you're right with anime and stuff. It's like, okay, it's like this. If they took the video game Gears of War and made a big successful Gears of War movie that's based on Space Marines, and then they did a reboot of Alien 2, it would almost feel derivative of Gears of War because Space Marines. But like that's Aliens is like kind of the real beginning of the Space Marine craze. And anime does that a lot with a lot of the cyberpunk stuff. Blade Runner is a precursor to like all of it, but like even Ghost in the Shell, it's derivative of Blade Runner. But Ghost in the Shell has been so influential that you can feel that and Battle Angel and all that through a lot of sci-fi that came after, but now we're remaking the anime that came way before. So I can understand how it kind of feels derivative, even though it really isn't, because you have to follow the blueprint that it created.
Yeah, right. And it's kind of a shame because of the fact that audiences weren't exposed to this ahead of time, but to just kind of track it, I think the Matrix trilogy is a really good example of people that took influence from anime and translated it into a pretty solid, well, really, really good first movie and a pretty good second movie.
I never saw the third. I hated the second, but man, I love that first movie. And yeah, they definitely took a lot from Ghost in the Shell, obviously, but the show that people do not give the credit for, there's an actual story that is literally The Matrix. It's the same story as The Matrix called Megazone 23 in anime.
Heard of it.
It's literally The Matrix.
Holy shit.
It came out in the 80s. Yeah. It's a little different. Like there's Robot. He has a motorcycle that turns into like a little mech and stuff in it, but it's The Matrix.
So I'm gonna have to check that shit out. That's cool. You said anime movies suck. What's the best anime adaptation that you've seen?
As far just the movie?
Yeah.
So if we're anything based on a manga, I haven't really seen one. But if we're talking original material, Princess Mononoke is by far the best anime movie.
I see. Yeah. Okay. So when we're talking about live action anime, like, I always think of Miyazaki also, but I meant like live action adaptations. The only one that I can think of. Okay, go ahead.
Tokyo Ghoul. It was one of my top 10 films of not last year, but the year before. And it's a Japanese live action anime, and it's great.
Holy shit. I didn't know that existed.
Yeah, it's excellent. It's one of those things where I watched the series. I never read the manga, but I watched the series. I watched the movie, and it cut out a ton of stuff without ever feeling rushed. Like, I didn't feel like anything got cut out, which is really hard to do.
Right. Oh, dude, that's awesome. I'll have to check that out. The only one that I could think of off my head, and I think that people that have seen it that I've spoken with didn't particularly care for it, but the live action Japanese Death Note 1 and 2, I think, are both pretty fucking solid.
I hate those movies so much.
The Japanese ones, you've seen them?
Yes. Awful.
Oh, man, at least they get the characters right. It felt like a fucking adaptation. I don't know.
It's better than the American, I will give you that.
Oh, man. I hadn't seen them in a long time. Maybe I'm wrong. I
finally watched the Ghost in the Shell movie. It's all right. It's not particularly good or bad. Another visually impeccable film. I loved it from a visual standpoint, but I don't think it's as bad as everyone said it was by any stretch. It's just, again, feels kind of generic today.
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of whitewash controversy around that, and I don't remember there being the same around Alita. Did you hear any controversy about it?
No, and I think, and I've always said this, I think if it's, first of all, I don't even know if Alita is Japanese in the manga, so I would have to double check on that. So that might not be it, but also too, I always feel like my rule with race swapping is if it is essential to the character, don't do it. To me, for Motoko Kusanagi in Ghost in the Shell, essential to the character. Don't race swap it. And then once you see how they race swap it to try to be like, no, she's still Japanese, just in a white girl's body, it's way worse. When you watch the movie, like, that is worse.
So we don't necessarily like it when white actors play Japanese characters, or like Emma Stone plays a Asian girl in that Aloha movie, but I think we like it even less when people paint themselves blue or end up looking blue in trailers, right? I mean, that has got to be the worst offense that you can make.
Very good segue. I could tell you were proud. You were waiting. You're like, this is my opportunity. You just went for that shit.
Get it? So, dude, I don't know. Like, I think I'm the problem, because when I saw that first set photos from Entertainment Weekly or whatever, promotional photos, I was like, oh, I don't like the way that looks. And then when I saw the new photos, I was like, oh man, I don't like the way that looks. So like, I don't know. There had to have been something in between, man. But what do you think about this? The look of the genie.
So I had the same reaction you did, where I saw the first set photos. I was like, really? He's not even going to be blue? And then they were like, no, don't worry, he's going to be blue. And then I saw this, and I was like, holy shit, they should have just left him as Will Smith.
Yeah.
Like, it would have been way better.
Exactly. And I wonder if that wasn't their intention.
No, I think it was, because he said that, no, don't worry, I am going to be blue in some scenes, like he already said, like when those set photos came out. So I do think it was their intention. I think it's not necessarily that CG. It's the same problem I have with, so far, every live action Disney, well, I guess there's only been a couple, but not excluding Jungle Book, the CG and that, the visual effects in that are phenomenal. But like, when I saw this, I get it. So people gotta, first of all, understand that you get incomplete visual effects in a trailer. Like, that is not the finished form. You can watch every movie trailer as they get closer to release. The visual effects in those shots will get better. So that's first of all. But look at Beauty and the Beast on a visual effects standpoint. That beast was awful. Like, it blew my mind how bad the CG was.
All right. I was hoping you were going to say that, because he did look like fucking hot garbage.
Yeah. And like, it literally, I remember even like a movie that something we'll get into is Ninja Turtles. Like the 2014 Ninja Turtles, which those movies got shit on for their special effects. And then what's it called came out, and I was like, those 2014 Ninja Turtles look 1,000 times more real than the Beast did, than
Yeah.
Krampus in those the Beast movies.
It was such a weird design, and just like some of this shit just does not translate. Like the whole idea of Beauty and the Beast, it gets real fucking weird when you put it into like live action context. It is full on bestiality. Yeah, and like maybe I'm a prude. You know what I mean? Like maybe I'm just not looking at things from the right angle. But it's that same idea of like the Genie. It was a really cool animated character, but you can't take that character and then translate it to being live action in the same way and hope that it has the same kind of impact, because that character was so, every mannerism, every expression, everything he did was so bombastic and fucking huge that like the Genie's not going to be able to move that way in this movie.
Well, I think part of the problem is actually nostalgia. So, and what I mean by this is, we'll use anything where they redesign characters and everyone loses their fucking mind.
Yeah.
But you have to redesign these characters. The problem was they didn't redesign him. They're like, hey, you know how like that big blue dumb cartoon character looks? Let's just throw Will Smith's face on it because we don't want to piss off the fanboys to redesigning it. I'm fine. You could have left him blue, but like you should have just made him more smoke, like instead of just blue.
That's a good point.
Like they should have redesigned it and rethought it. You have to rethink these things. And I feel like because of fanboy outrage, nostalgia culture, they're stuck in these designs. You see it with so many franchises that try to reinvent themselves and they're like, that's not what my version looked like. Well, your version was shit because you were a child and you had no taste.
Yeah.
So it's okay if they redesign it. Yeah. That's fine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's, dude. So this is just a total random hypothetical, but in my mind, they would not have released those Entertainment Weekly promotional photos for the movie in that state if they did not have it close to being wrapped. I think that the original idea was to redesign the character and was to make it Will Smith as his own, because Guy Ritchie probably had enough sense to be like, yo, that's going to look weird. Maybe they even ran screen tests on it. But then immediately anticipating and reading the room and being like, holy shit, people hate this. Oh, don't worry. It's going to be blue. And then Will Smith goes to Disney and says, hey, we have to make this fucking thing blue now because everybody's going to revolt if we don't. And being Disney, they're like, all right, we'll fucking slapdash throw together this promo showing that the Genie's blue as fast as we can and get it out there in front of people before the movie comes out.
I actually think he was planning on being blue. I really do. I think he was planning on being blue from the jump. I think they were planning on doing about half the movie without it to save on money. But then they're going to have a couple of special effects shots. I bet you he's more in human form than he is in blue form for most of the movie.
Oh, that makes a lot of sense. See, I didn't even think about that aspect of it. He can shapeshift and shit, so he wears the human form so that he's discreet.
Yeah.
All right.
See, I think that's how the most of the movie he's going to be in human form.
I see. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. That actually makes a lot of sense. So they knew they had to throw Genie into the promo just to get people back on board, because the temperature wasn't good when those pictures came out. I don't think anybody was super stoked on it, and just I don't know, man. I'm not really a fan.
What do you think of Will Smith's casting just in general for the Genie?
I don't know, man. Will Smith is one of those guys that is just always and forever Will Smith, which works great in Bad Boys. It works great in all sorts of stuff. But I don't know, man. It's not the worst idea I've ever thought of, because it's not Robin Williams, and definitely, Will Smith has his own charm and his own personality. But I don't know who they could have cast that I would have felt like confident with.
I'm kind of shocked that they didn't go the complete CG route and not even try to make them look like the actor at all.
Right.
Like, why even try to do that? Like, just put a voice and make him look a little more cartoony, because that's what the fuck everyone wants now. They want a cartoon in their live action movies.
Yeah. That's the thing. These Disney movies are a weird mix of that. It's like they're trying to ground it and then there's talking animals. It's like it can't be both, you know? I don't know. It's just weird.
That was my big problem with Jungle Book, is
Yeah.
it didn't know what it wanted to be. That's why I think Mowgli is 10 times the film Jungle Book is it at least knows what it is, where Jungle Book's like, hey, can we just make sure that we get the adults happy, the kids happy, the nostalgia play, plus let's also do for fans of the book. And it just is this noisy mess that has no direction.
Yeah, I can see that. That is pretty much how I feel about the rest of them. Cinderella was good, but that was not like Renaissance. What was it called? Like in the 80s and 90s, there was that whole wave of Disney movies that came out that are all being redone right now. Where like Dumbo falls outside of that that decade or whatever, and it actually looks kind of compelling.
Dumbo is something you could do really cool, and Pinocchio or something you could do really, really cool.
Yeah, I agree. Oh, I hope that Dumbo movie's good, but I don't have high hopes for any of it. I didn't like Alice in Wonderland or Maleficent, any of that
I'm
shit.
the same way. I have no, like the Dumbo trailer. It looks kind of cool. It's going to be garbage, I'm pretty sure.
Amy says hot garbage. All right. Looks like we got some people on the same page. We'll go ahead and move on because I'm actually pretty excited about this as well. Like there is a new animated DC movie coming out that is featuring Batman and the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
That's it. We can close the podcast here. We don't need to watch any more movies for the rest of 2019.
Oh, yeah. So what do you think about this?
So as anyone knows, I'm covered in a whole Ninja Turtle sleeve. I am literally one of the biggest Ninja Turtles fans. And not just like, oh, I like the cartoon. I read all the comics. I actually read a Ninja Turtles comic today. I am so excited. So there's two options they can take on this for the people who don't know the comics, because they do crossover in the comics. There's there's one set in the new IDW universe, in the main Ninja Turtle universe, that's has some of the greatest Ninja Turtle art I've ever seen from Freddie Williams. And that is a more serious take. And that's the one I hope they go with. But also from IDW, there is the Batman animated series crossing over with the 2012 animated series comic. And it is a little lighter. So they could go either way. And honestly, I don't care. I just want to see Ninja Turtles and Batman on the same screen.
So how do they work together in the comics? Like how does that shit come together?
So the Ninja Turtles because Ninja Turtles crosses over with everything, Ghostbusters, all kinds of random shit, and they have the easiest out ever. So there's a couple brilliant things that they do in Ninja Turtles. One is everything in the Ninja Turtles universe is canon. Every movie is canon because it's the whole multiple dimensions thing. So every character, whether you hate the 2014 and you love the 1990, they're both canon. They're just different universes.
That is smart.
So they jump between all these universes. So it's not even uncommon to see Ninja Turtles from the 80s crossover with Ninja Turtles from the comics. Like that's not uncommon because they jump between these dimensions. But they also jump and sometimes end up in Gotham. And so I'm assuming that they will go through a portal, end up in Gotham. That's what I'm assuming will happen, just like in the comics.
Some just basically Mario sewers that'll teleport you to different worlds. That's fucking fantastic. All right. Yeah, as a kid, I think I've told you this before. I loved the Ninja Turtles cartoon. That was my into it. And when I started drawing, like I just constantly drew Michelangelo over and over and over again. That was like, he was my favorite as a kid. By the time I got a little bit older and the live action movie came out, me and everybody else started liking Raphael because he was like the bad boy in the fucking original movie.
Oh, he's the star of the 1990s movie. Like it's a Raphael movie and everyone's backdrop.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I'm always excited to see new interpretations of them from a design perspective. And what I like about these guys is they're very true to the IDW version of the comics as well as the animated comics. Like, I mean, the animated series, there's no question who, what those characters are. But in the original cartoon, they would fuck up and put the wrong color bandana on the wrong turtles at certain times because they were all the same fucking turtle, where these guys are all distinctively their own thing. And I really like that. You can tell very clearly. And the 2014 did that as well, the movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I feel like the 2014 was the first of the, well, definitely was the first of the live action where you really got, from a design standpoint, very different looking
Mm-hmm.
characters. As far as the designs of the new one, there's different versions of comic book artists within these different characters. So there's some Andy Kuhn, who's from my hometown. He's in well, he's from, actually might be Santa Fe, but he's from Albuquerque area. There's some of him which is very similar to the new IDW. There's also some very much uh God, why can I not think of his name? I'm failing. But there's this one artist who draws him with a big lower chin and everything, and that reminds me very, very heavily of Raphael in this, where it's like an old school classic TMNT
Boxy head,
art
yeah,
style.
for sure.
Yeah, and I love that with him.
Mm-hmm.
This is something that, for me, even if it's bad, even if it's horrible, I'm gonna love every second of it.
Donnie is real humanoid looking over there.
Yeah, he's very 2014 turtle. Like,
Y-
they, you can tell, really went to that design.
yeah, for sure. And I really like the Batman design. I'm just never really a fan of the gray and blue.
I agree. I hate the gray and blue. I think it's a bad look.
All
But
right,
yeah,
you're on my page about that one.
yeah,
So
that's that 1970s look. Ugh.
this is kind of cool. Troy Baker, the voice talent from The Last of Us as well as Arkham Origins, is going to be playing Batman and the Joker, which will make him the first person ever to do that in the same production.
That's interesting. I wonder if he's gonna do in Arkham Origins. He just did a Mark Hamill impression
Right.
because he was playing that version. I wonder if he'll do that, or I'm kind of hoping he will do something. He'll play with it because Troy Baker's a phenomenal voice actor.
So yeah, one route I guess you're saying is he could emulate Kevin Conroy on one side and then Mark Hamill on the other, or he could do his own take on both of them, which would, yeah, that'd be way fucking cooler, right?
Yeah, I want to see new takes. I'm all about, with any of these characters, just give me new takes of them. I don't care about having, it doesn't need to be another version. In fact, if we're not doing Kevin Conroy's version of that, if they're not going to the animated universe, then I would prefer if he didn't do either one of those.
Tara Strong is a pretty popular voice artist from like My Little Pony, and she's doing Harley Quinn and Poison Ivy. So there's a couple people that are getting to portray multiple characters, which is kind of cool, man. I'm eager to see the way that this ends up playing out. I think, like you said, I'm gonna enjoy it regardless. I mean, it's an hour and a half diversion, old school team up of two of my fucking favorite like different IPs and properties. So yeah, man, don't think you can go wrong with that.
Something a little on tangent. Have you seen the 2012 series finale? That's pretty much Ninja Turtles meets Mad Max.
No.
It's awesome. Like, it's dystopian future Ninja Turtles. All the turtles are dead except for Raphael riding around in a mutant wasteland where humans are no longer around. It's awesome.
Huh. Yeah, I've never seen the 2012. That's TMNT, correct?
Yeah, the 2012 is the show. It's the Nickelodeon
Okay.
computer animated show. It's phenomenal. It's great. And then the TMNT is 2007, the computer animated movie, which is hands down the best Ninja Turtle movie.
I've seen it, but I don't remember it all that well. I do remember there's like all these monsters coming up out of the sewer or something at the end. There's like a whole bunch of different villains, and none of them were the toys that I played with as a kid. So I was a little burned about that.
Yeah, it's definitely, they definitely, so this was written by, that, not written, but this was, the license used to always go back between Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird after they like kind of had a falling out. So Peter Laird, I always say, I know who Ninja Turtles are because of Kevin Eastman. I love Ninja Turtles because of Peter Laird. So Peter Laird was the 2003 show, that movie. Like, he's the more gritty, grounded Ninja Turtles. Kevin Eastman's more like, hey, let's make some fucking money and make toys.
Yeah.
Side.
Interesting. Yeah, I should dig a little bit deeper. I know that I talked to you real briefly about the last animated iteration that came out that's kind of got a Teen Titans look and aesthetic to it. You didn't like that shit at all. See, I thought it was all right. It's a totally different take on it, but I can understand where you're coming from.
That is very similar to the original cartoon. So that makes sense. You're more of a fan of that. So it makes sense why, I feel like the new series is very similar to the original series.
All right. Well, I hope it's good. I think we've talked enough about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
We never talk enough about Ninja Turtles. If I get a second to talk about, I'm turning this into a 30-minute bit.
No, it's good. It's good. I think that's probably one of the coolest things we got on the docket. Except that that trailer for Ma, which we'll get there in a minute. We'll come back around to that. First of all, it looks like the Dune cast is really shaping up to be a phenomenal ensemble of different people. And I know that you and I are both really big Blade Runner fans, but I don't know like what kind of impact or what kind of draw a story like this even has to like, are people like anticipating Dune?
No, this movie's going to tank and I'm going to love every second of it.
You're going to love every second of it tanking, or you're going to love every second of the movie itself?
The movie.
Good, yeah,
No, I'm going to love this entire movie, but it's going to suck because it's going to tank.
I wish it wouldn't, man, but there's no way that it's going to make money. It's insane to think after how much shit Blade Runner ate that they'd be willing to give them a very, very similar project.
That what blows my mind. They're like, hey, you know that movie that was great that no one saw and we lost? I don't know if they lost money, but they definitely didn't make much. They're like, let's do something almost identical to that with the same director, and it's going to be real slow and visually beautiful, and no one's going to see it either. Pretty
much. And I guess, every studio probably wants to have a little prestige, and maybe this is the long game, man, because like eventually Blade Runner, the original, became a hit, but it just took like fucking decades. So maybe they're just thinking they're going to set their kids up for the next generation.
Maybe that's what it is. Like, I'm sure that 2049 will make money eventually, if it already hasn't already made money, but through like digital sales and DVD sales, that thing is going to make a ton of money eventually. Might take 30 years like the last one did, but it will.
Yeah, I think that Dune is something that I'm excited about, even though I'm not familiar with. I know about the spice and I know about the sandworms. Like, I'm familiar with the concept of it, but I don't really think it's actually similar to Blade Runner as far as like a narrative perspective. It's just that it came out around that same era. It's definitely hard sci-fi. It's I think Dune's probably a little more Star Wars-esque than something like Blade Runner, but
yeah, I would agree. A lot more fantasy in it.
Yeah, right. And I think you and I talking before had a similar discussion, but I'm kind of starting to pick up on Game of Thrones vibes from it as far as like these feuding royal houses and things like that.
Yeah, I'm very curious to see, because I'm not a fan of the original Dune movie at all. Like I've seen it like twice, and it's one of those movies I want to like, but I don't. I put it, honestly, for me, in the same cast of in 2001 Space Odyssey. I put those kind of in the same thing where I'm just like, I really want to like them visually. There's a lot to like, and I just don't. But apparently that movie is not really loyal to the books, and Denis Villeneuve is going to do it loyal to the books. So I'm very excited.
Yo, yeah, for sure. I need to go back and watch that movie. I don't know that I've even seen it before, to be honest. And I know that somebody really well respected directed it. I want to say it was David Lynch. Is that right?
He did direct it, huh? I think you're right. I think it was David Lynch.
And I don't think it was his bag. I don't think it was exactly the movie he wanted to make either.
And then there was the Dune TV show, which is much better.
Children of Dune or something?
There's another one just called Dune that came out before that. Yeah, it's because Dune is that's also another one that has a pretty good cast, if I remember as well.
Oh, the original one?
The original, yeah, the 84. I think like Patrick Stewart's in it at some point in time. What's his name? Kyle
Chandler.
MacLachlan, who is a pretty good actor.
Yeah, he is good.
Brad Dourif's in it. I mean, like, if I remember, it's like a stacked cast, and and it seems like that's kind of what they're doing with the new one.
Virginia Madsen, Francesco Annis, Brad. Yeah, let's see. You named a lot of the big ones. Definitely a Kyle MacLachlan fan from Twin Peaks, and more recently Portlandia, which is real funny. So yeah, that is an impressive ensemble. This new one has got Timothée Chalamet, Rebecca Ferguson, Oscar Isaac, Stellan Skarsgård, Dave Bautista, Zendaya, Charlotte Rampling is somebody apparently, Javier Bardem, Josh Brolin. Holy shit, you know what I mean?
It's a hell of a cast. Javier Bardem and Josh Brolin in the same movie is just amazing.
Yeah, everybody in this list are like Oscar nominated, Oscar winning actors. I don't know that Rebecca Ferguson has gotten that kind of critical acclaim yet, but she's coming up as the antagonist in Doctor Sleep, which is a Stephen King. Actually, I think his son wrote. I don't know. That's not correct. It's Doctor
Pretty
Sleep.
much you could do. Pretty much you could do any movie with Oscar Isaacs, Josh Brolin, and Javier Bardem, and I would go see it. Just to see those three in the same movie is pretty phenomenal.
Yeah, man. I mean, maybe there will be some sort of interest peaked in it because of the casting. Maybe there will be some sort of like, maybe it'll just hit. Maybe word of mouth will be so positive. But I have a feeling it's going to be a 3.5 hour sprawling fucking meditative think piece, and that audiences are not going to know what to do with it.
Oh, 100%. You're going to get like minute-long pillow shots of nothing, you know? Like that's what it is.
Yeah. God, I love fucking Blade Runner, dude.
Oh, it's the more and more I think about it, it might be my favorite film of all time. The more and more I think, every time I think about that movie, I'm like, it's just so perfect.
Yeah, when I saw it, I was like, I really think it's top 5. I really think it just instantly jumped into that like echelon of greatest
There's
movies.
one scene that almost brought me to tears just from a visual standpoint. The scene where it's so dreary and dark, and then he goes to visit the girl who creates the memories, and it's green and it's beautiful, and it's like this breath of fresh air, and it literally like did something to me just seeing that from a visual standpoint, where like it got to me, where I'm like, you were in such a dark world, and then this character, which plays into the narrative, you know, this character, there's life and there's all this, like it literally just hit me on a visual standpoint where I like got almost choked up. I'm like, why am I choked up? They didn't even say anything. They were just visually, the cues got to me. It's impeccable.
Yeah, if you guys haven't seen Blade Runner 2049, do yourself a favor. Set aside 6 hours to sit down, and no, it's not that long. It's probably 2.5 hours, maybe 2 hours and 40 minutes, but it is worth every single second of it. It's funny you say you put the original Dune in the same category as 2001. I really think I put Blade Runner 2049 in the same category as 2001, and not like I like them both the same amount, but those very meditative long takes of just repetition or slow motion. You know what I mean?
It's funny because even when I was saying that, I'm like, I do not like 2001. I would kill to see a Denis Villeneuve remake of 2001. No.
Oh, shit. No doubt. Did Roger Deakins die?
Did he?
I don't know. Let me check real quick.
I don't think so. You're about to give me a heart attack.
Everybody's like, whoa, shit. Did he die?
Oh, the latest Roger Deakins.
No, he's good. He's good.
Oh, man. I was like, I think he's going to actually be the DP on Dune is what I heard.
He's got, yeah.
No, he won't be. It says. I just saw an article.
What?
Oh, that's disappointing.
Yeah, because they were great collaborators together. Let's see what all Roger Deakins is known for. You guys that or what he's known for you guys that aren't super familiar. He's a cinematographer, which means he works really closely with the director. He's actually the photographer of the entire movie. And he did, Blade Runner 2049, Hell Caesar, Sicario, which is great looking, Prisoners, Skyfall, Rango, True Grit, A Serious Man, Revolutionary Road, Doubt, The Assassination of Jesse James by the Coward Robert Ford, which is way too long of a title, but a beautiful movie. No Country for Old Men, Jarhead, The Lady Killers, Intolerable Cruelty, A Beautiful Mind. You heard of any of these, man?
Just a one or two.
Yeah,
so
holy
apparently
fuck.
The new DP on Dune is Greg Fraser, which he's great as well. He did let's see, he did Rogue One, he did Foxcatcher, Zero Dark 30, he did apparently he just did Vice, he also did Arrival, so he already worked with Denis Villeneuve.
Okay, that's reassuring too, because Arrival is a great looking movie. Like, I love the reveal of the actual spacecrafts in Arrival. It's like along the side of the skyline, and there's like all these mountains and just huge clouds of mist and kind of steam and smoke, and then these like almost marine, like shell looking fucking ships just hovering in the sky. It is an amazing image. I'm gonna see if I can pull that shit up. But did you like Arrival?
I actually never saw it. I own it and I haven't watched it yet. I know it's horrible.
Yeah, you'll like that one if you get around to it. It's a good looking movie too.
I've seen the original Rival with Charlie Sheen
Classic. I don't
with
remember
the
it.
legs that bend backwards.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I loved it as a kid. I haven't seen it.
The alien runs around like it's almost got like double jointed
Yeah,
kickback
I haven't
legs.
seen. I loved it as a kid. Was obsessed. That could be garbage. Probably is garbage.
Yeah, man, it's got to be. It's got to be. I don't think I ever saw it though, so I can't really say that in all certainty. Let's see. So yeah, I don't know. I'm really looking forward to it. I think that it's got a lot of potential. Hopefully people will get hip to it and actually go see it this time around, because I don't know how many times they'll give Denis Villeneuve $200 million to make a movie.
It blew my mind that they've given Zack Snyder, another visual director, that much money time and time and time again. You know,
Yeah.
I was just like after Watchmen, which another movie no one saw that I personally just think is impeccable. I remember being like, well, he's never gonna do another one of these. Like, enjoy it while you got it. And then they're like, here's more money. Here's more money.
Yeah, it's crazy. I don't know, man. You just got to know how to pitch a movie, I guess. That's the lesson.
I guess
learn.
so.
But Greg Nicotero, who is one of the masters of special effects, he was an understudy under Tom Savini back in the original like Friday the 13th slasher series. Really pioneered a lot of like on top of blood squibs, like really revolutionized like decapitations, bullet holes, fucking severed limbs, all that good stuff. I was always a really big fan of Nicotero. I think he actually surpassed Tom Savini years and years and years ago, probably halfway through the 80s.
I would agree with that. I think he did, end up surpassing Savini.
And now he is like really taking his career to a whole nother level with the show The Walking Dead. He directs a lot of episodes, doesn't he?
Yeah, he did the really violent Negan premiere episode.
Oh,
which
really?
Is unbelievably well shot. Like, it's such a good episode.
I didn't know that he did that one, but that kind of makes sense because I think they were pretty proud of the effects job that they did during the beating scenes.
Yeah, it's unreal too, and just like not even just from a visual standpoint, like it's just a well shot episode. I actually think too. I'm going back in and watching, From Dusk Till Dawn. I think Greg Nicotero is actually in it at one scene too.
He is. He is.
Yeah, I was like, man, I didn't remember that. I think he's like one of the bikers. Like when I was watching, I was like, whoa, Greg Nicotero. Like at the time, I didn't realize it.
He's spinning a blade, if I'm not mistaken.
You're right. That's what it was.
Yeah. He's just like standing there mean mugging, and then Tom Savini's Sex Machine, the guy with the cot
Sex
gun.
Machine,
Yeah.
yeah. Him, I even recognized when I was like 13 because I was that weird kid who knew who fucking Tom Savini was when I was even a little kid. But Greg Nicotero had no idea until I got older, and going back and watch it was a nice little surprise.
Yeah, man, absolutely. I'm a big fan of these guys. They're like the pioneers of the horror genre in a lot of ways. And I actually was able to sit down and talk to Robert Kurtzman, not Kirkman, the creator of The Walking Dead, but Kurtzman, who was a really prolific special effects guy that actually worked with Tarantino and Rodriguez on From Dusk Till Dawn. And he was super cool, just a wealth of knowledge. And it was just like really cool to be able to talk to him about, From Dusk Till Dawn, The Haunting on Hill House, Gerald's Game, It Follows, The Bye-Bye Man, Oz the Great and the Powerful, Texas Chainsaw 3D. These are the dudes, though. The one that I just now said, Robert Kurtzman, Tom Savini, and Greg Nicotero. And I still think Greg Nicotero stands shoulders above the rest of them, it's just crazy because they're all super prolific. But I say all that to say that he just now recently got greenlit to produce a Creepshow series. For those of you guys that aren't familiar, Creepshow was, what were they, EW Comics? EC
Yeah, I forget where they were from. My exposure, of course, was through the movie.
Yeah, okay. So there was a Creepshow movie that came out in like the 70s. No, it was in the 80s.
It was 80s.
Yeah, man, I was thinking of Tales from the Crypt. I got confused. So tell me about Creepshow.
So Creepshow, very similar to Tales from the Crypt. It's an anthology series. I think it was like 3 stories. It's been so long since I've seen it.
Yeah, me too.
The whole reason I watched it was because I am such a big Tom Savini fan and George A. Romero, and both of them worked on it. So that's my exposure to it. Is I was eating up anything that George A. Romero and Tom Savini had to do with. And there was a Creepshow 2 in the late 80s, I believe.
There was.
Yeah. I don't think I've ever actually seen Creepshow 2.
It's not as strong as the first one, obviously, but it's all right. Yeah, so Stephen King ended up writing the original screenplay for Creepshow. George A. Romero directed, and then, as you said, Tom Savini worked on the special effects for it. So this was like a trifecta of talent. It had Hal Holbrook was in one of the segments, The Crate, actually. Adriana Barbeau, who worked with John Carpenter a lot. Leslie Nielsen from the Naked Gun movies. It was cool, and I like the potential of anthology series. We've talked about Black Mirror before, which is an anthology that I really enjoy. Tales from the Crypt in the 80s and 90s on HBO I really enjoyed. Twilight Zone, which we're getting another one of those coming out. So, I mean, what do you think? All of those taken into consideration, does this have a chance of actually being good?
Yeah, I think it will. I'm weird, so I love the idea of anthology series. Never watch them anymore. Like
Really?
I just don't. Yeah, like I still haven't seen Black Mirror. If I'm gonna sit down and watch essentially a shorter, lower quality movie, I'm gonna spend that time to watch an actual movie.
Sure.
Yeah, so that's why I don't. If I'm gonna watch a show, I want it to be all continual. Even though everyone tells me Black Mirror is like top tier filmmaking.
Oh, it's incredible.
For me, I think it's cool though. I'm excited to see anytime anthology series are coming around. I'm excited about it. It reminds me of, this was a while ago. Do you remember the Masters of Horror series?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Love Masters of Horror. That's what this is gonna remind me of. I'm hopefully, like, except for that was getting like Horror Legends to direct little mini movies. But I'm hoping, that I was obsessed with. I saw every Masters of Horror. So hopefully this will be in the same
Nicotero
vein.
have the connections to do something similar? I mean, he could contact Mick Garris or fucking George Romero. Oh, well, probably not Romero, but he could contact a lot of those guys, So I feel like he's got his tendrils or tentacles deep enough into this whole scene and this whole community that he could really bring in tons of good talent, which is very reassuring. And then you're a Walking Dead fan, so there's not much better horror on television.
Yeah, to me, Walking Dead is, as far as like just zombie filmmaking a while, it's just top tier. It even beats a lot of movies,
Most movies, yeah.
Yeah, like it's top tier. I mean, but you're also working with Greg Nicotero, one of the most prolific horror film makeup people and everything, someone who truly understands the genre. So him being a showrunner on that and directing that, I would be very excited to see what he could do with Creepshow.
Yeah, I should clarify to you guys, when I was talking about special effects, makeup, and gore effects and that kind of stuff, that's going to be quite a bit different from like creature designs and makeup in the same way of like your Rick Bakers and your Stan Winstons and all of those kind of guys. That's kind of a separate craft, separate art altogether. So I mean specifically those guys.
Who do you like better, Rick Baker or Stan Winston?
Stan Winston, man.
I go back and forth on these two all the time. Like I don't know.
I think Stan Winston has sheer volume over
I would
Rick
agree
Baker. I think that's the biggest thing. Is it's like when you just look down how many things Stan Winston's done, it's like, oh holy crap, he did all of that stuff.
Rick Baker's Planet of the Apes though was top tier.
Fantastic, absolutely. Let's see, Terminator 2, Judgment Day. We're talking about some of Stan Winston. Go ahead, sorry.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say both of those. Like I go back and forth. Sometimes I'm like, oh, Stan Winston. Then I'll see something from Rick Baker, and I'm like, I don't know. That Rick Baker man is unreal.
Yeah, don't hold me to that. I'm reserving the right to change it once I look at IMDb when I'm not streaming live.
Yeah, I know. We should save this we should save this one day for like our favorite creature designs. This would be a fun topic.
Oh, that's a great topic. Make a note of that, somebody.
I'm making a note. Mental note. We're going to forget about it 5 minutes later.
Hold on, I can just put it on the notes right here. Best creature design.
Yeah, next week we should try to do. I'll be down to do best creatures.
That's a cool idea. Look at that. Fucking workshopping it on the show, baby.
I know.
Look at
this
that.
Is how What do they say? This is how the what's made. What is made? This is how the podcast is made.
I think it's the milk. No.
I don't think it's this is how the milk is made.
This is how the wall is made.
This is how the milk is made, by getting pregnant and having a baby.
Amy, that's in the chat right now. She said, Caleb, you should see my office. She actually works with me at Allergy. She does have Walking Dead stuff everywhere. She's a huge fan of the series and the cast, and I can't think of his name right now, but he was the gay character that showed up like season 5.
Oh, he's so good in it.
She's a huge fan of him. What's his name? Ross?
On a tangent,
Amy, let me know.
That is my favorite gay character on any television show. And the reason why, and it's ironically, it's the most progressive because it's not trying to be progressive. It's like, oh yeah, he's gay. On with the story. Like, that's not his defining characteristic. That he's just a really good character who happens to be gay instead of a gay character. My favorite gay character on any TV show by a mile.
Watch me be wrong about even if that was his name. Is it Ross Marquand?
I can't remember his name. I have no idea what his name is.
Let me see. Ross Marquand. Amy's gonna.
I can picture him with his curly hair.
Then that's him. Then if he's got yes, Ross Marquand, he's got curly hair on top.
Good in that show.
All right, just wanted to make sure that I wasn't an idiot. Like, yo, dude, Gator totally going off. They're like, he's not a gay character. Oh shit, my bad. Not
he's
that
a
it would
phenomenal character.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, okay. Amy's like Ross Marquand. All right, all right. Thank you for your assistance. That was hazard averted. Like almost like me trying to summon fucking Roger Deakins to the grave.
Roger Deakins to the grave and George A. Romero out of the grave. That's what it sounded like.
Dig one up, throw another one in the fucking hole.
Yeah, apparently you're just swapping people over there.
All right, what else? Oh, dude, before we go, we've got, and I teased it a minute ago, we were going to talk a little bit about Captain Marvel's retro website, but we'll go ahead and put a pin in that and just say, go check out the Captain Marvel retro website. It's kind of funny. Did you get a chance to look at it?
No, I wasn't going to either. So it's kind of good we're skipping that one.
All right. So there was a trailer that came out today for a thriller called Ma, starring Octavia Spencer, who was in The Help. She was in
Shape of Water.
A lot of other things. Hidden Figures. She's been in a lot of stuff. She's really good. Mm-hmm. But the trailer is a Blumhouse production. It's got a bunch of white kids in a van that are going to try to do a beer run, and they get this kind of older black woman to go buy them the beer, and then she invites them over to their house where shit gets crazy, I guess. So...
Yes. I'm very excited for this.
You like the way the trailer looks?
Oh. So there's two things I love about this trailer. This has one of my favorite actresses, Octavia Spencer. I think she's just brilliant and everything. But also in a minor role has my #1 favorite actress of all time. And that's Juliette Lewis.
Oh, she's fantastic. That's from Natural Born Killers and From Dusk Till Dawn. Every fucking
Days.
thing. Yeah.
So that I was already sold. I'm like, you got those two in a movie? I'm there. Like, even though I know Juliette Lewis is going to have a small role and I don't think really be able to flex in it, she's just so great and everything. I very much got Kathy Bates Misery vibes.
Absolutely.
Where like you put this like lovable, heavyset woman and make her a psycho, and it just works beautifully.
That is a very apt comparison that I didn't even think about, but now that you said it, it's like, how did I not see that? Because yeah, it's that mild-mannered, very surface level, seems nice and sweet and all of that, and then there's this darker kind of, seems like maybe obsession going on with her. There's something, obviously this is a kind of like a mystery or a thriller, but Luke Evans plays the father of one of the boys that goes missing or something, and he's saying she's spending a lot of time with him, and then we get a little bit too much in the trailer. Not that I know what happens.
I would agree.
But I know that everybody is going down, because at the very end, she's like sitting among a bunch of corpses like, I have fun or some shit. I don't think that's what she says.
Where she hits the person in the car and you're like, oh shit, I wish I would have saw that.
Oh yeah, dude, takes that motherfucker out, dude. And there's like blood on the road and everything too.
I think it's one of those things, like I said, remind me of Kathy Bates. Like it's not someone you would normally be like, oh yeah, naturally we're just gonna put that person in a horror film. But because of that, I think it has the potential to be like a breakout hit.
So, I mean, I kind of described her as a black lady, but I think that has something to do. I mean, I know that's like an oversimplification, but that seems like it's like a central part of the plot is the race element of it, right?
To me, I didn't think it was. Like, I don't know if it has anything to do with it, or she's just a crazy lady who brings over kids and makes out with them. Like,
Yeah.
like I don't know if it has anything to do with that.
You're not,
for me.
That's a good point. I didn't notice. Are all of the kids, I mean, if they were like a mixed group of people, maybe it would be different. I don't know what in my mind made me think that. I hope that it's not just like, no, she's just a character in the movie. I don't know. Let me,
My thing is, so you saw who's directing it, right? It's a weird director to put in a horror film, so I'm kind of excited. It's Tate Taylor, the director of The Help, is actually directing this.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and Winter's Bone, which is like a weird,
really good movie.
Yeah, like it's just a weird thing to be like, oh, let's just jump to like a weird slasher or horror film, which is awesome. I love when directors like genre jump.
No, dude, I'm looking at the cast right now, and she is the only black person in the cast, all the way down to like there's like 2 other characters way down the freaking script. So I feel a little better. I feel like my white guilt is less now than it was 2 minutes ago.
I think she's just a character. I actually hope she's just a character. I hope they don't play it into that too much.
In this new psychological horror thriller, this black lady, I'm reading the actual official synopsis right now. This black lady named Tate Taylor. Oh, so stupid. In this new psychological horror thriller from Tate Taylor and Blumhouse, a lonely woman befriends a group of teenagers and decides to let them party in her house. Just when the kids think their luck couldn't get any better, things start happening to make them question the intention of their host. The end. You guys don't even have to go see the movie now.
Yep, we just spoiled the whole thing before it came out.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I hope that it's good. I don't want to overspeak on this because I already feel stupid now. Maybe it's an opportunity for this person to step into the kind of get out zone of horror movies, because that movie was so critically lauded, and now just like the sky's the limit. It looks like Jordan Peele will be able to do anything he wants to for the next several years off that movie. So it seems like, kind of taking this, I don't know, maybe it won't have any sort of subtext to it or like a theme.
I'm kind of hoping it doesn't. Like, I'm kind of hoping it's just a horror film with no subtext. But if it's done right, I'm all into it too.
Dude, did I tell you? Go ahead.
I was going to say, it's written by one of the writers from Workaholics.
Really? Believe it or not. Is he one of the cast members of Workaholic? No.
I don't think so. And then he also wrote Green Beret's Guide to Surviving the Apocalypse, which is a TV series on Netflix that is either out or coming out. I'm not sure.
Who is America was Sacha Baron Cohen's series.
Oh, is that the Sacha Baron Cohen one?
Yeah,
Cohen one?
Yeah, where he dresses up.
I want to see. I've only seen the clips, and God, that looks hilarious.
Oh, it's so fucking good.
With the guy who's the child molester, the Republican senator.
Oh yeah. Roy Moore.
Roy Moore, yes. That's the thing over him. Oh, it's brilliant. Yeah. I love it. It's the funniest thing ever.
Yeah, if you guys aren't familiar with what we're talking about, Google or YouTube that shit. It's Sacha Baron Cohen's Who is America, and he goes around and just interviews different politicians and stuff. But I didn't tell you at the top of the show when we were talking about what are you watching, I saw this movie called Good Time. It came out in like 2016, maybe 2015. It's got Robert Pattinson in it. And it's Robert Pattinson, and he's got a brother who has a disability, like a learning disability. He's developmentally challenged or whatever. And Robert Pattinson is a complete con man who uses his brother. He obviously really cares about his brother, but he also uses him so that they can go and rob banks. So they're like robbing banks at the beginning, and the die pack explodes, and it just leads to a series of escalatingly bad shit throughout it. And it is seriously one of the best movies I've seen all year since 2019 started, if not the best one I've seen this year. Yep.
Is it on Netflix or anything?
I saw it on Amazon Prime.
Okay, I need to get back on that. I actually like Robert Pattinson. I think he's a great actor. I think he got, kind of because of Twilight, people like, oh, he sucks, but he's a really good actor. I think he's going to be horrible if the rumors are true that he's Batman, but I'll wait and see.
I think I heard that too. I don't know, man. Robert Pattinson is one of those guys that guys just like to write off, you know what I mean? But I feel like he and Kristen Stewart both did a pretty good job of taking a different path after Twilight came out and not just jump. Like Taylor Lautner fucked up and tried to be an action guy, while the other two like pivoted into doing fucking really cerebral little independent movies and ended up succeeding in what they do.
By far the most talented actor out of all of them. I actually think the girl, I don't really care for anything she's in, but he's just brilliant.
Did you see Personal Shopper? That's the one that might change your mind about her if you haven't seen it. I ended up watching it a couple weeks ago and was really impressed by it.
Does she act sleepy in the whole movie?
Yeah.
Or she kind of act...
She is yes, she is sleepy all the time.
Okay.
She's got narcolepsy, dick.
That's her whole acting thing. I can't deal with it. I can't deal with like she looks like either really drunk or really high or both all at the same time.
Oh, dude, and The Runaways with her and Dakota Fanning was awesome. It was fucking cool, man. She played Joan Jett. I did see The Runaways.
I think I did, but I don't remember.
Well, yeah, I don't know. I'm excited about Ma. You guys let us know what you think about that and everything else we've discussed. Just let us know everything down in the comment section. Aaron Johnson, hello. Since I am late to this, my opinion is that pretty much all of the films mentioned are interesting. Alita seems fun. Will Smith as Genie is cool. Batman Ninja Turtle crossover is funny. Aaron, we do appreciate you stopping by. Yeah, unfortunately, we're about to sign off so I can go eat some dinner. Anything else before we go, Caleb?
No, that's pretty much it. Is read Ninja Turtle comics. That's my thing.
I say you get full sleeves of Ninja Turtles on your arms, guys.
See, there you go.
Yeah, I couldn't get a view of it earlier. That's a beauty for sure.
Look at that beautiful Ninja Turtle. You can only see a bandana, but it's a very pretty bandana.
It's badass. All right, guys, thank you so much for coming by. And if you enjoyed this video, do myself and Caleb a favor and click that little thumbs up button down there. It really helps my self-esteem. And if you want to stay up to date with all of the terrible content, all you got to do is subscribe, click the little bell for notifications, and then hope that you actually get them. Yeah. And on behalf of me and Caleb, and until next time, be terrible.